Welcome to I'm Not Joking, the podcast where a behavioral scientist examines what it's like to live a humorous life. Glimpse into the lives of the funniest people in entertainment, business, and science as your host, Dr. Peter McGraw, explores their habits, motivations, and secrets to success. Get ready to fire up your brain and your funny bone. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to I'm Not Joking, the podcast that looks at the lives of funny people. I'm Peter McGraw, and today's guest is comedian and registered nurse Nancy Norton. She's a headliner at Denver's Comedy Works, and frankly, she's toured all around the world performing comedy. She's performed comedy on A&E, Nickelodeon, and PBS. Yes, PBS. She founded the MENTALPAUSE comedy show, which is focused on laughing about middle age, which I try to do often. And besides performing comedy and saving lives, she's also a motivational speaker, which bodes well for us today. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, Pete. That was a beautiful introduction, I must say.
I appreciate it. Well, I had to do it twice, so the second time was much better.
It was. It was better the second time. Let's do it a third. First of all, I think this is probably about time to tell you that my nursing license has lapsed.
Oh, is that right?
But so, I don't know. I mean, but I think I'm still technically a registered nurse because I did pass the State Board of Nursing. So I am inactive on three states because you got to keep ahead of the law.
Okay. But you're still a nurse.
I am. Like, I mean, I think it's like a Marine, right? Once a Marine, always a Marine. Am I right, fellas? Or gals? Marine gals? I have a friend who's a Marine gal.
Yeah, Jane can answer that question. That seems fine to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Actually, I didn't mean to let it lapse. I just found that out like last week. That I thought, I was doing something online and then I just realized, hey, I don't remember re-upping my license. And I like having it, just something about having my license, because I have fallen back on it a few times.
Okay.
And
you have a slow week and you
you never know.
Pop into the ER and say, do you need some help?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I got out of nursing for the same reason a lot of people got into it, to save lives.
Okay. So
that's my little jokey joke.
That's good. That's good. Well, this is a perfect segue into the first question, which is, so if you weren't doing comedy, and if you weren't nursing, not nursing that way, but being a nurse, and if you weren't a motivational speaker, what would you be doing?
Well, in my fantasy, I am in a little stone cottage near a stream with a stick, and I'm poking a fire. Yeah, and I'm poking a fire, and then every now and then I go out and I feed a squirrel. Okay. I have like a bucket of nuts near my door, and I feed a squirrel and go back and poke the fire. Okay. And sip tea, and that feels great to me. I really love that life. And then, you have these sweet little squirrels, and they keep coming back, but you never really have to grieve the loss of a pet because the new squirrels replace the old squirrels.
Yeah, they all look the same.
You never really, know. Is that chipper? You don't know.
Yeah. But you could do this, right? This could be you could do this on the side, no?
Well, now? Well, yeah, maybe. I do have a charge. I have a teenage boy.
Okay.
So no, I think I have to provide. Yeah, I gotta make a mortgage payment and food. I have to feed him 3 times a day. So
he eats a lot.
He is eating more. Actually, he eats like a squirrel. Maybe that's the squirrel fantasy is coming from him. It's like, eat another nut. I try to get him to eat protein. We're vegetarians, so, okay. I push the nuts.
So you have a teenage boy who's a vegetarian.
I do.
And where does he get protein? Is it from nuts?
Yeah, from soybeans. And nuts. Although they say the soybeans will make him more feminine or something. I don't know if it's true. He's very masculine. He has a very nice mustache for a 13-year-old. I just want to say it's better than mine. So
it's probably better than mine. I remember being around that age and being really excited to not have to shave. I remember wanting to shave, but not really needing to shave. And feeling like that was a milestone that at some point I would have to do that.
We just bought him a shaving kit. I have a boyfriend now, which is, I'm practicing saying boyfriend because, I was with the ladies for 20 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know each other that well.
Usually, women go the other direction.
Well, I did. So I've swung back. The pendulum has swung back
Okay.
a couple times. So I was married 11 years. I say, very nice man. He was very nice man, but he would not wear the Jodie Foster mask. Is it okay if I drop my jokes in here?
Yeah, of course.
Too corny, too direct. So anyway, George, nice guy. Then I was with and I won't even say her name, not so nice lady.
Okay.
For 11 years.
Yeah, see, that's like a complete reversal. It's usually you're with a not so nice guy, and then you give up the guys for the nice ladies.
And yeah, I didn't find the nice ladies.
Interesting.
I know. And they're out there. Don't write me letters.
No, I know this because...
You know this?
Yeah, because
You've met a couple?
I'm fortunate enough to go out with them. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's some nice ones out there. I'm just over it. And so anyway, I'm happy to have a boyfriend, and he is going to help my son. We have the kit. We haven't done the little shaving lesson yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's very nice of you because I have a single mom. I did not consult with her before by the first time I tried to shave, and it didn't go well. I tore my face up.
You really,
she looked at me, she's like, what have you done? I think I had like a plastic Bic shaver and Barbasol.
Yeah.
Which they're really bad.
Those big shavers are the worst. I think I did I think I did the same thing with shaving my legs. And I remember walking downstairs in like 6th grade or something. I'd shave my legs, and I had tiny pieces of tissue, about, I would say 25 of them.
Oh, wow.
On my shins and knees. And I went down like as if that was normal. And I went downstairs. I remember going downstairs. My mother was loading the dishwasher or something. And I've never heard her laugh. So
that's
hard.
Nice. That's
like she
reaction.
never really laughed. That's part of, she laughed, more at me than with me. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right. Well, at least she was laughing.
At least she was.
My mom was really upset.
She was concerned.
She was concerned,
Did you take off like a chunk, like a whole
No, I just had little tiny, gashes.
But did you do the tissue, like the little dots?
I wish I could remember. I mean, I suspect I did.
You just remember the look on your mom's face.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do is put little pieces of tissue.
Well, we actually bought my son the little, what's it called? The little pencil, the little stip-dick thing. Is it called stip-dick? Dipstick?
It's like a little glue.
Yeah, it's a little blood clotter
I see.
product.
That's your medical background speaking.
That's right. Clot the blood.
Yeah.
You cannot put a tourniquet. It's hard to put a tourniquet on the head. They discourage that.
Well, the technology is way better these days. 5 blades, and I use this shaving cream that I love. It's like kiss the sky, kiss the something, kiss on my list.
But not kiss my face.
Kiss my face? Maybe it's kiss my face.
Is it kiss my face?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look for it.
I think that's the best.
I forget which one we bought. But,
all my bald friends who shave their heads, I tell them about that.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
For the head shaving.
I'm not there yet. So I want to ask you, what's a typical day in your life like? You're busy, clearly, because you have no time for the squirrels and the poking the fire.
I do make time for squirrels.
Okay.
I make time for them. And I have a dog, and so it's a battle, you don't want to lure them too close. Yeah, let's see.
Like, what are the beats? What
are the beats? Well, let's say, like, you want a weekday or a weekend day?
Let's do a weekday to start.
Weekday. All right.
And if that's interesting, I'll ask you about the weekend.
Yes. Weekday, I'll just do a little product placement for you, Echo Dot. I have the Echo.
We have no sponsorship, so thank you.
I have Alexa wake me up with an alarm at 7:15. Now, I should get up at 6:45, but I love adrenaline, so I like to wake up late and to start the day with a surge of, I am so late. And then I hit the floor running, brush my teeth fast as I can, trip over my dog, and I run down the hallway. And, oh man, I just did a Feldenkrais workshop. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's a body movement thing where I'm supposed to walk down the hallway on all fours like a dog. But I'm going to work on that. Thanks for reminding me. Anyway, okay. So then I get my son a really bad breakfast, some cinnamon toast, apples, and almonds.
Okay.
Some tea. I've got him hooked on the tea.
Okay.
A little Earl Grey.
This kid must fit in great in Boulder.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? The irony, he doesn't have that many vegetarian friends.
Yeah, okay.
No, seriously, in elementary school, they chased him around the cafeteria with slices of turkey.
Okay.
They did.
This is the new bullying.
The new bullying, vegetarian bullying in Boulder. They did. They would chase him around with turkey slices. Anyway, all right.
Feed him some carbs.
So I feed him, got him his toast, apples, almonds, and some Earl Grey with a little soy milk and some turbinado sugar. Now, this is detailed enough. And then, okay.
I do have follow-up questions. So
okay, that's enough of that. Then I rush him to school late, as always. He's always 1 minute late because that's how I roll. And so I've instilled the adrenaline addiction in him. I'm like, go, deploy is the word I say when we pull up to the hug and go spot. It's like, deploy. And so he runs out the door and into the school. And I take my dog to the dog park.
Okay.
And then
do you interact with people at the dog park?
Oh, I try.
I'm
one of those.
I shouldn't even ask the question. I mean, knowing you, we know each other, so I know you well enough I suspect you would chat.
Yeah, I have a few regulars. Yeah.
Do you work on bits ever at the dog park? Like, do you try out some jokes with folks?
No, I haven't tried out my jokes at the dog. I'm more about trying out the dog training. Like, how do you get yours to stay?
Okay.
Mine's not doing that.
Okay.
But that's a good idea. Actually, I don't like to try out bits. I don't like to try out bits except on large numbers of people, like in the audience.
Okay.
I think, because it can be misleading. You don't want to try it on one person. Statistics of small numbers are not true.
Yes.
So I like to try it with, I never took statistics, but I make things up.
Okay. I did. You're right. And it can deflate your confidence. If you try it on, or even what's worse is when you first start out and you're like, hey, do you think this is funny, guys? Terrible. Sitting around a table and people stare at you and then you have no confidence in the bit. And a dog park is not actually an ideal circumstance, right? It's
got
a little
distractions.
too bright and it's a little too early in the day and there's not any alcohol.
Yeah, very little.
Very little.
I take so little.
That one guy.
That one guy. Yeah, there's that one guy. Well, and then I go home and pretend to work is all I was going to say was I get back home and then I'm trying to clock in from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. A 4-hour day.
Okay.
I try to do a 4-hour day.
And you do it you work in your living room? Do you have an office?
I have an office. It is a closet that I have put a reclaimed desk in there.
Okay.
That is in my meditation room. So, to my back is meditation time.
Okay.
To my forward,
it's work time.
It's work time.
Okay.
So if I'm in my swivel chair, I can sort of go in and out.
As needed.
Yeah.
So, and what are you doing? What are you working on now that from 10 to 2?
Well, I am going through and trying to reconnect with warm calls, Pete. I'm calling people who I've done speaking gigs with and who might know somebody who might need a humor speaker for their thing. Because I'm really working on doing these gigs that frankly pay better than stand-up comedy. I love, love, love doing stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. And I really like doing speaking. Okay. But I really love the money from speaking. Yes. So it's kind of that.
So you love, I think a logic says I love money.
Does it?
No, and I think it's just...
Well, because
I get it. So
I am really hoping to break even. That is my big goal. So I don't think that I love money enough. All right. I really am okay with it being flush. Like I've always had enough my whole life. So there's something in my psyche that says it's okay to have enough money. I don't want to be poor, but I don't really want to be rich either. Okay. But I'm working on having a little extra for, I'm getting older. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at, maybe I should have a little extra. Haven't done that yet.
So you do watch, there's this famous scene from Glenn Ross to get pumped up about coffee is for closers. Have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's young, beautiful Alex Baldwin being a total jerk to these poor sales people who are doing cold calls. Oh. And Glenn Ross.
No, I don't know the reference. I should.
It's a fabulous
It sounds
movie.
familiar. I feel like I've seen it peripherally somehow.
I bet you. It'd be
circulating on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's it's high testosterone.
And really high pressure sales. And my approach is really, hey, you don't need me, do you? But if you do, I'm not great at sales, but I'm working on it.
You don't say, hey, do you remember how great I was?
Yeah. Remember the fun we had?
Okay, so you're making these calls, and so that's kind of hard work. You got to get kind of pumped up for it.
I do. I get pumped up. I get a vision of sharing the light of laughter. Okay. Yes,
Yeah, I think this stuff is, this is a kind of common, I haven't done that many of these, but this idea of, I don't know, you can call it a lot of things like your inner critic, self-doubt, anxiety. It comes up a lot I think it comes up a lot in the world in general. This is obviously like a first world problem, but modern day problem. But the idea, I think within comedy, it's amplified.
The insecurities?
Yeah.
Well,
insecurities is another word. I mean, all these words kind of like pop up here and there. Like the fact that you kind of have to have this vision and get a little pumped up to make these calls for something that is like super valuable and that people love.
Yeah. It's made it a lot easier to think I am bringing something of value. Like I've really gotten clear on the value of humor in the last couple of years, which is what I preach about in my speaking gigs. I'm a preacher. So yeah, it does help to have that clarity. But the underlying reason we got into comedy in the first place, let's not forget, most of us come from some sort of improper parenting. That is my common denominator. And I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm just saying in my case, like I said, I'm born the fourth of 3 children. And I need something. So there's a neediness that's like in me from infancy that makes it feel like maybe you don't deserve to have your needs met. Like, it's hard not to identify like it's about me, isn't it? When you get older, you realize, no, really, it was because there were 3 other kids ahead of you and these other variables that happen in your parents' lives. It really wasn't about you, but you made it about you. And so your psyche is fixed in that insecure, like, I'm not going to get my needs met, am I?
We are really good about making things about us.
Yeah.
It's amazing how good we are at that.
We kind of get stuck in that egocentric phase.
Yeah. And as a child, it's hard to not, right? there's...
Well, yeah, no, you don't have another reference point.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is, that is a phase of development, right? The egocentricity, that you really do think everything. You are the center.
Yeah. My mom would always remind us that there were starving kids in China.
That was nice.
That was her thing.
To get perspective.
To eat these lima beans.
Oh. Did you have
this great,
yeah.
There's famine in places in the world, so you should eat these lima beans.
And none of us ever questioned, like, did that help them at all in China? Just the gratitude you should be in the state.
I still don't like those things. So I want to wait. Hold on. So then at 2:00.
Okay, let's pretend like I actually worked from 10 to 2.
Yeah, that's okay. And you were successful.
And I was successful, and I landed a gig. That's great. And
if you land a gig, do you stop working?
Oh God, no.
Or are you more motivated?
No, I think I'm excited, but yeah, I just kind of keep going.
Okay.
Like, yay, that's great. And then, but do I keep working in general? No, I am really, you have to use Facebook a little bit in our business, and it is tricky. It really sucks the time. Like you catch yourself toggling and then getting stuck down a rabbit hole. Yeah, they've got this, they really have this worked out. Yeah,
they're very good at.
They're very good at. I'm starting to recognize the Facebook induced anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
How we doing?
We're good. I just checked the time.
Yeah.
Oh, not because I'm not enjoying myself, just because I'm.
No, just because it's part of your job.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So at 2:00, what happens? We're gonna get through this day. I promise. I promise.
At 2:00. Okay, listen. At 2:00.
Nap.
There. Good guess. That was an excellent guess. I wish I could take a nap. I don't usually, I used to be a good napper. I lost that when I had a kid. I somehow shut down my need to nap, like, because when you have a toddler or whatever, you cannot even afford, you can't think that way. You can't you're never napping.
Can you go to jail for napping?
Yes.
With a 3-year-old in the house?
I think
who's not napping.
Who's not restrained in some fashion. Yeah, I think you can actually, probably. Well, it depends on what they got into.
I see. Yeah.
But I was just all of a sudden I flashed on what was her name? Jeanette, who wrote The Glass Castle. Did you ever read that memoir?
No.
I just flashed on her. She was cooking hot dogs at age 3. And her nightgown caught fire.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, her parents. Yeah, she did get in a little trouble.
Okay. Yeah.
Her mother and the poor girl. Yeah, so you can't let your kids cook hot dogs.
Okay, so no nap.
No nap. We're at 2:00.
Uh-huh.
I'll probably go for a little run outside. Take my dog for a walk.
Okay.
Do a little walk-run thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, hopefully I might call my boyfriend.
Okay.
See what he's up to.
All right.
We might have a play date or something. We don't know. And then it's, my son's going to be coming home from school at 4:00.
And then parenting. And
there's some my parenting now is 13. That's great. It's like, you can now make your own mac and cheese, can't you? Yeah.
He has chores?
He has chores.
What are his chores?
Well, today he was vacuuming. He vacuums the living room.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
How does he feel about chores?
He kind of accepts it. He just, it's been there for a while. Like, this is and then he's really clear. Like, the line is drawn. Like, I don't vacuum past this line. Like the dining room, that's your area, so I'm like, once in a while, can you just do the dining room? No, okay. That's your area. So we have very clear lines.
He sounds like a crack negotiator.
Yeah. And very, always has been very detailed. If you tell him not to run in the restaurant, then he will skip.
Okay.
You say, well, I'm not running. I'm like, okay.
He's definitely your son.
Mm-hmm. He is. Yeah.
That's great. And so you alluded to this about becoming a comedian. So was it a little bit of a coping response to challenges?
To being funny, like being class clown and all that?
Were you a class clown?
Oh, I was, yeah.
Starting at what age?
Very, very, very early. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably kindergarten. Okay. Yeah, right on. Right. Yeah. Yes.
Which is a little unusual for a girl.
Yeah.
It's a little, and probably less so now, but it's...
Maybe so. And it's interesting because I didn't have, and I still don't always have the right name for, the whole gender continuum, but I consider myself genderful is my new thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to catch on.
Genderful.
I thought we'd start it here.
Okay.
I am genderful. Yeah, so I was a tomboy for sure. And, I was I guess maybe because I was boyish that was okay for me to lead in a verbal way during...
And how did your teachers react to it?
Some of them loved it and some of them really hated me. Uh-huh. So it just depended on what they, I was in the hall a lot in first grade. I remember got sent to the hallway quite a bit.
Okay.
I had one teacher who just loved me and loved my sense of humor. And she would sometimes send me to the hall, but she would pass me funny notes under the door.
Oh, that's sweet.
Like, I'm going to blackmail you on your wedding day and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. She was fun. I remember her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right, because that's what a nice way to encourage, like actually, right, appear to be,
admonishing me, but then secretly, and she would. This was a history teacher. This was later, like in middle school, and that I thought this was like looking back on it. I thought, now why I should have gotten more into the performing arts, which I didn't until high school, but. I'm just saying, she would use me to act out she would read things out of the history book and have me pantomime building the pyramids or something in a funny, silly, if you can be funny building a pyramid. If you do a little dance with it.
You could find a way.
Yeah.
That's
so
lovely.
She kind of used my skill, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
It's fun I've done this a couple times now where I kind of reached back and thanked a teacher or professor, especially because things turned out well. No one ever, when things don't turn out well for people, they don't really reach back and be like, hey, really appreciated the support.
Yeah.
But I've done it a few times and it feels good. And
I wonder if I could find her. I never did thank her.
Yeah, it's
a good idea.
It was fun. I sent my book to a professor in college he actually taught the hardest class I ever took. And at least, hardest grad I took it in college, and he was a health psychologist, and I just sent him a book and just said, you won't remember me, but I was a student in your class shortly after you moved to Rutgers, and I just want to say it was incredible. It was the hardest class I ever had, but I also learned so much in that class, and I just want to say thanks. He sent me this. I have it over here. He sent me this lovely note back, and
it was what a great connection.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
great. It was old school. Like he actually sent me a letter back, which
snail mail.
Yes.
That means more.
So, okay, so we have a kind of typical day in your life. I want to ask you about what kind of tools do you use as you're working on your craft? Are you writing a notebook? Are you writing in your phone? Or you use a word processing program? Or you like Jay-Z who just makes it all up in his head, doesn't have to write anything down?
Well, what I would like to do and what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Now this is again, my boyfriend has been trying to help me. Like, okay, I want to get you Scrivener or whatever it's called, and I want to get or Scrivener, and then he's got me on Evernote. Like he actually will say, write that down. He's got, and I'm like, and I do need to write things down. My memory is not as good as it once was.
Okay.
And there was a time I wrote everything down on little napkins when I first started. It was all like just any little piece of paper. I'd make notes, and then I was very diligent about trying to find the bit in it and working it out. And I've gotten to where I've gotten kind of lazy. Okay. And I just get on stage, and it's, I do want to write more because I am still doing jokes from the 90s. I'm doing 25-year-old jokes that I still can sell as fresh and new because.
So what's a tell me one of your 25-year-old jokes.
All right. This won't be uncomfortable at all. So, one of them, I make
people usually tell me their openers, so I want to hear your 25.
Oh, okay, I could do my opener. That is about 25 years old. Okay. So I'm originally from the Ozarks.
Okay.
Everybody say, ooh, which trailer park? Go ahead.
Ooh, what trailer park?
And then I sometimes will swear at them and say, not everybody in the Ozarks lives in a trailer park.
Okay.
There is a huge waiting list. So that is
okay. So the tag. So you pause and
then there's a huge
yeah.
Okay. But I give them a bunch of crap for making these terrible assumptions about the people in the Ozarks.
And then you reverse it.
And then I sort of reverse it.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's an example.
Give me another one. I'm just curious. Like, your stuff is I think your stuff is accessible. You can do flyover states, and you can do young and old. I mean, we did an event, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
At least, maybe it was a little less. That was, I bet you the mean age in that room was 59, 60.
Which is pretty close to my age.
Then maybe it was, it's probably older.
They were a little older. Yeah.
And your stuff killed.
And you know what I'm really happy about that I love? There's a room here in town, at the beer garden that's, I don't know if we're being regional, but anyway, there's a room here that's like college kids in the bar. And I'm always surprised that they go for I call it my old lady stuff. And once in a while I kind of hunker down like Festus and say, kids, back in my day. But thanks. It is, I like to think that it is accessible and sort of universal. Although some of the stuff is dated. I mean, like, this is a joke I've caught myself doing lately because, some of what I say makes me funny. I was born cross-eyed, right? Okay. So people, when they want to get a laugh, they'll cross their eyes. Like, that's somehow hilarious in pictures. And let's cross our eyes, and I can only cross one. But okay. So, when you're born cross-eyed, my sister told me I would introduce myself like this. Hi, my name's Nancy. I'm cross-eyed. To sort of beat him to the punch,
Okay.
But then I think that made me funny. Then I had this surgery later on that made my eye turn out, which I don't know which is worse. But anyway, so I did this joke about, I meet twice as many people as the rest of you.
Right.
I have no depth perception. I just park by sound. I'm there, get out. I'm only licensed to drive in Kansas. I'm not saying it's flat and boring, but I drove all the way across that state with my club on.
I see.
There's no clubs anymore, right?
Right.
And then it's like, yeah. So there's things like that I'm like, okay, Nancy, maybe you need to let that one go. And then I did have eye surgery not like a couple of years ago to try to pull my eye back in. So I sort of dropped all the eye jokes.
Okay.
But now my brain is pushing my eye back out.
So do you think that those jokes are harder to do these days in part because people are actually more sensitive and a bit more...
You mean making fun of a disfigurement?
Yeah. It's harder to do, It's not a problem.
I think as long as I'm not like going down with it, like, I feel so bad about myself. I'm like, no, I think if you're being playful and you're like, hey,
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
No, I haven't found that to be a problem.
Yeah, so the show you're talking about is on Sunday nights. It's the Beer Garden in Boulder. It's the Boulder Comedy Show. It's a really great show.
Yeah.
It's become super popular. This town's dying for some.
Right. They added a second show.
Yeah. And they get a lot of the performers on Sunday from Comedy Works who stay on another day. I could see why your stuff works really well with that crowd, in part because they're just desperate for something different. The comedians who come through there's a lot of weed jokes, and there's a lot of like hipster kind of
I guess you're right.
Comedy. And so it's just nice to get something that's different and funny in that venue, I think.
Yeah. I'm always delighted because I feel like, and I mean, I used to work clean all the time, and now, well, there was a time I was single and it was my sexual outlet. Comedy was my sexual outlet. Okay. So I did a lot of sex. Well, I just did a lot of sex jokes. Okay. And and it just was a way of like getting,
Freud would be so happy right now if he was alive.
Yeah.
That was his entire
thing, was that.
Theory of comedy.
Was that it was a sexual release? Tension?
Aggressive and sexual tension.
Aggressive.
Aggressive and sexual
tension. Wow,
tensions.
see, interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't, in that, so humor is aggressive also? Was that the point?
Well, so I think that the idea, there's these different theories of humor. One of them is superiority theory, right? So comedy is a game where there's winners and losers. And so there's a butt of a joke, and so there's a victim, there's a target. And so we laugh at the follies of others, That's an aggressive tendency in Freud's eyes. I mean, all these guys.
But when you laugh at yourself, so it's kind of neat because you get to be the victim and the perpetrator, which I tend to be according to the state of Colorado. But let's not go into that story.
So when you're making jokes about being cross-eyed or
but then I'm also empowering myself by saying, here's
I
still have I meet twice as many people as the rest of you. Like here's the benefit of having a lazy eye or whatever.
Yeah, that's the benign violation in my vernacular.
Yes.
Right? So you're saying this thing's, you're pointing out this bad thing and saying how it's good, right? That's essentially the definition of humor in my eyes, right?
You had to rub that in.
Oh, sorry.
In my good eye.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to these critiques, these self-doubts, these anxieties. What was the term you used?
Insecurity?
Insecurity.
Yeah. One of my friends what did he say? Comedians are a bunch of the most insecure, arrogant people.
Okay.
Which I think is a great, it makes sense, kind of, that insecure / arrogant, So
that the persona on stage versus the one
that's kind of behind the shell. Yeah, maybe so.
Mm-hmm. But
but I think you can transcend all of that. Okay. Anyway,
have you?
In moments, I think my percentages have shifted. I mean, I still have very insecure moments that get triggered and go back to that infancy of being totally dependent on everybody. But no,
mine's at 4:30 a.m. in the morning.
Really? Mm-hmm. That the bottom falls out of your world, or
I just wake up and my mind is working and nothing else is, and I'm not in a good place to cope with it.
And that's kind of the definition of anxiety, isn't it? Really, just being somewhere else. You can't do anything effective, or you could. I guess you could get up and write. Or
you have to reset. I find that I just have to reset. I just have to get up, move around, lay back down. It just breaks the pattern.
Kind of shakes it off, and then
who cares about mine? So
I do. I care about yours. I do care. Nice. I know. I'm going in my little my Rolodex of ideas. I want to what else could we do at that time? But that's when I've gotten into a bad kind of a podcast addiction. But at those 3, 4 in the morning, sometimes I have to put on another voice.
Oh, is that right?
I do sometimes block out my voice with the other voices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as comedy goes, you know what? I think honestly. This is it's maybe because I'm in my 50s and I really do want to be of service. I know it's weird, but it's not, I think I've proven myself in a lot of ways and I feel like I've met that, I have validated that I'm funny and, I've done some of those.
PBS?
PBS. Wow. That was more of a tearjerker, but anyway, that was, I've proven that I'm sad. I've proven that I'm poignant, but I really honestly try to get out of, it's hard when people are clapping not to take it personally, but it's really about celebrating the experience.
Okay.
And I sort of do look at it like temporary art that we build together. And I know it feels embarrassing when I say it out loud because it feels very cheesy
to say it.
I do talk about it on stage sometimes. I'm like, well, look, this is like an ice sculpture that we built together. Even though we might use some of the same moves and make some of this, like we might make the same lion, but it's going to look slightly different. Every audience is going to whittle away and we interact. So my bits, and I have a lot of nuances, and I also do a little improv in the middle that keeps things lively.
Okay.
So it's temporary art that we celebrate, and then that applause is really not about me, but it's about us. And, most of the time it goes great.
Yeah. Wow. So I don't think that is cheesy at all. I think it's actually rather elevated.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, you think about what the typical description of. I mean, I think that you are creating art. I think that good comedians are great artists. Comedians don't have to be artists in the same way, that musicians don't have to be artists. Like you can play a cover and you're not an artist, you're just a musician. But if you write a song, now you're an artist.
Or arrange a cover in a really unique way. Yeah. Let's give those, just shout out to the musicians who are doing covers, but they're doing them, with their own voice. I don't know.
Maybe,
okay.
maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe I'm being too hard on this guy. But you paint by numbers. That's not truly art. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, well, I don't know. I think so. But the idea that when I talk to comedians, they are like musicians in the sense that it's such a great feeling when the laughs are washing over you.
Yeah.
And what you're suggesting.
To share a laugh. I think of it as sharing a laugh, it's so fun. Yeah.
That's what I think. You clearly spend time in Boulder meditating.
Yes, I have.
That's actually really a kind of meditative approach to comedy, right? So I've done a little bit of meditation over the years, and I'm very partial to a loving kindness meditation because I grew up in New Jersey. And so
I would never have guessed.
when you grow up in New Jersey, you're not taught to be either loving or kind. And so it's been very good for me to do this. And so for people who are not familiar with loving kindness meditation, the idea is that you think compassionate thoughts about yourself. Then you move on, right? Once you're able to do that, that's already hard to do. It's already hard to think compassionately about yourself.
Yeah.
And then you think about compassionate thoughts about other people you care about. Right? That can be easier, especially if you've accomplished the first one. Then the next one.
Here's the kicker. Wait for it.
Compassionate thoughts about people you don't like.
You don't like you.
Yes.
Yes. People who have hurt you.
Yes.
Who have wounded you. Who have torn you apart.
Right. That's like.
Yes.
And then if you can do that, then you're supposed to think compassionate thoughts about all things.
And that's when you become a vegetarian.
Right. I mean, I suspect.
And you start feeding squirrels.
Yeah, clearly I have not made it to the third level yet. But so what you're describing, I think a little bit is that compassionate view, like we are all in this together. This loving kind view of comedy is that this is not about me and it's not about you, is that I'm sure there's some fun analogy that we could come up with. That both you without an audience, a comedian's not a comedian, and without
the comedian, the audience is not an audience.
Exactly.
They need their identity as the audience as well.
Yes.
And yeah, it's an agreement. And then I take it to this very where when I'm behind the curtain and I say the last thing and sometimes I forget and I can tell a difference in my performance art pieces. Okay. But if I say, let this be for the highest good, and even if I'm to bomb for this to be for the highest good, I'm okay with that. Like if somebody needs to watch me bomb so they can feel better about their life and maybe they don't kill themselves tonight, that's fine with me, Like look at me, I'm up here in front of people and I just ate it, which the irony of life, of course, is that you don't eat it very often when you don't care about eating it. Which when I started out, I ate it, at least 50% of the time, 50% of the time driving home going, why God do I have to do this? I hate this.
Yes.
But then now it's more I'm not good at bombing. I used to be a little more steeled for it, and ready and prepared. Now when I bomb, I'm like disoriented, like, oh wow, I forgot how to deal with this.
So you actually say this like sort of like as a mantra to yourself before you go on stage?
Yeah,
this is for the highest good.
To the universe, let this be for the highest good. I hope these people leave feeling better than when they walked in here.
Okay.
That's, again, now go ahead. This is where I'm crossing over into the preachy cheesy comedian. I can take it.
I actually, so, the behavioral scientist from New Jersey, when he moved to Boulder, was like a little intolerant of some of the kind of hippy-dippy stuff here.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you that I've really come around on a lot of things, in part because the research has backed it up. So for years, people have said, oh my God, meditation changed my life. And I was kind of like, crystals, magnets, pyramids, whatever these things are. I don't know. But serious scientists have been doing work on this stuff and time again find robust benefits of meditation and retraining your mind to think in different ways. Mm-hmm. And so I've really come a long way and actually started practicing meditation because not because I was convinced, by folks in town, but because I've read papers that found these kinds of effects. So I'm a believer that these things help.
Yeah.
Help.
And how I was just thinking, because I'm not an intellectual or a scholar, and so it's easier for me, because my brain will shut down pretty easy. I can shut her down with a couple of, just blinks. And so I don't have that scholarly mind. That is a harder thing, I have to say Eckhart Tolle. Have you read any of his stuff? Eckhart Tolle.
No.
I think you would appreciate it because.
How's that spelled?
His last name is Tolle, and people say it all different ways. They say Toll, they say Tolle, they say, I don't know, but Eckhart, Eckhart, I think. He wrote The Power of Now. Okay. And so that, man, if you're dealing with stuff at 4:30 in the morning, I read, of course, the Cliff Notes to The Power of Now. Immediately now. So I actually did. There's a book called Practicing the Power of Now, and it's a very short book, but it has some really 2-minute meditations. So I have ADD, and to sit and meditate for 30 minutes, ridiculous.
It's very hard.
So I started just doing glimpses of meditation, 30-second meditations of just being here and now. And then I can, I've learned, and now I get high on it. And I talk about in Boulder, I get high on my plants. I don't smoke them. I just look at light through them, and I get really I feel sort of high when I sit in my meditation room that faces east in the morning, and this light comes through the leaves of these plants, and I can just study the veins of leaves and get, I can think about it right now, I get a little high. So anyway, what am I saying? For scholars, I think it's a tougher deal. And when you tell me you came to it from science and research and all that,
I needed the science to buy it.
And I'm just wondering, is your meditation more of an intellectual process, or are you able to drop down, or drop behind your thoughts, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I think that stuff, for me, that stuff is hard. I'm in my head a lot. And that's okay if you just can witness that, Yeah, at least, that's the point, is you acknowledge it and then, and just acknowledge it and allow it to move on.
Mm-hmm. And on and on.
Yes, it's a blessing and a curse. I think I live a more effective, efficient, I make fewer mistakes in life and so on, but sometimes it gets in the way. I've really worked hard to enjoy the aesthetic part of life more, where it is more feeling and perceiving rather than thinking and judging.
Yeah. Little Myers-Briggs reference.
I know, that's stuff.
I'm on the crosshairs, I think, of the Myers-Briggs. But okay.
So it sounds like in terms of looking for inspiration, you're looking for inspiration in the shared experience.
Yeah, I'm looking for that. And then mostly, I do the jokes come organically. I can do it though. I'm really happy that if you gave me an assignment and you said, find 3 funny things about this bamboo plant. Okay. I might be able to, I don't know. So.
Okay. Yeah. No. You might be able to do it.
I might be able to do it, but mostly it just comes organically, and then I try to write it down and then share it with people. Like something hit me funny, and Just the fact that we're holding this bamboo plant hostage in Boulder, we should return it to the Thailand.
Yeah, it's probably from. Yeah, that's a good point. That's an interesting.
I have one too at my house. So I'm not judging it. You know that.
That's an interesting. And do you engage in your creative pursuits? Do you give yourself assignments like that? Like you say, I'm going to do X.
I want to have more of a disciplined practice. Okay. Like I really want to write more like that. And I might now, I might. I keep saying I'm going to start doing that any minute.
I suspect you could, right? I mean,
any minute now.
You already came up with the premise for a very good joke about the hostage. So what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? You mentioned podcasts that really stands out.
Wow.
The
Eckhart Tolle stuff.
Okay.
I'm listening to a lot. In fact, in the middle of the night, I will put on some Eckhart Tolle lectures.
That'll put you to sleep.
Oh, it does. He has a very monotone voice.
Okay.
But it's a great thing I really don't want to underestimate like the subconscious mind when you're sleeping and that stuff goes through the layers without any filters. So I try to put on something that I feel confident that it's going to be an uplifting message. Used to be NPR until the Trump administration. Now I can't listen to NPR anymore. Even Terry Gross is like her voice used to be really like soothing for me. But now the interviews somewhat, I think she's like now doing a lot of jazz. So it's there's a lot of acid jazz. And I'm like, I listen to a lot of Eckhart. I would say that stands out the most.
Okay. And, what other stuff?
What other stuff? And, I'm trying to think.
Like in the last year, did you read anything or hear anything that really blew your mind that you're just like, wow?
Like one thing, like a phrase that just.
Or just, like a book or something. I'm always, the thing that I've noticed is the reason I'm pushing on this, and I do this with all the guests.
Yeah.
Is there's a lot of really good material out there. There's lots of good podcasts and lots of good television and lots of good books.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but what is is there any, again, and it's fine if there's nothing, but you're just like, wow, that really had an effect. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. No. They're really, cause I just dabble in stuff right now. I feel like my concentration is really low. So I'm kind of a chronic dabbler in different things. Mm-hmm. So you're consuming a lot. Not a whole lot, but what I do is very shallow. But what I do is just, I record every, Colbert was my kind of therapy at the end of the day.
Okay.
And cause I just think he's one of the greatest performers around and just what he does with satire and brilliant. And it's therapeutic for me to cope with the situation in the world a little bit. So now I still record his monologues and I'll watch his monologues. And I'm drawing a blank completely. I know there's other stuff that should be there, but really I would say Eckhart Tolle of all the things.
That's neat.
Is to be in the present moment. I do have that's kind of like my signature on my email is like, may you be in the present moment for now.
For now. Okay.
Just for now.
And okay, so here's the final question. Oh, wait, before I get to the final question.
Grand finale.
This meditation thing, you have very good company. So when you start to look around, there are plenty of very famous comedians and humorists and so on who practice meditation. So Jerry Seinfeld and Howard Stern.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think Ellen.
I didn't know, yeah.
All meditate. And across successful people, whether it be business, athletics, et cetera, and, you can find a commonality in terms of meditation.
Well, that's reassuring. I actually have...
You're making the right choice. Yeah.
Yeah, there has been a shift. I think, do your own personal studies.
But some of these folks started doing it way back when. So I figure when really successful people are doing something, it doesn't guarantee success, but it is suggestive.
It points to something.
There's some value there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so Nancy, what is the secret to success that everybody knows, but they can't do?
Follow through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, I started reading this book, Laugh and Grow Rich.
Okay.
It's an old book from the Depression days, helping people really make, I think, a bunch of money.
It's like a Dale Carnegie-esque kind of.
Yeah, and who wrote it? I can't think of his name right now.
Okay.
It's somebody famous. So
when I launch these, I'm going to have like exhibits.
Oh, good. So find that guy. And I feel bad that I can't think of his name.
That's fine. I'll figure it out.
Carnegie. No, what is his name? Okay, so so that book I actually was listening to because my humor, I wanted to parody it. And do a thing called laugh and grow happy or laugh and grow rich with happiness. Mm-hmm. And so, but the irony, of course, when you parody something and then you end up gleaning information, right. But that is really it, is just stay focused. Follow through, keep going. You don't stop, no matter how many, failures. It's like you got to be accepting thousands and thousands and thousands of failures, and then just keep going.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're right about that idea that people really struggle. We have this idea of self-control and motivation. It's tough. It's a tough thing for people to do.
Well, and especially if you have kids that you have to provide for, and I have, luckily I was a comedian before I had children, or a child. I have one child. Well, the dog counts, I think. But honestly, I think if I hadn't met with some success before, I might not have. But having the nursing license, maybe that's why I let it lapse. Like, part of me wants to not have the safety net, because if you have the safety net, it's been proven that you fall back on the safety net. Rather than follow through with plan A, when you need, money, food, things like that. Those things. Don't be a coward and fall for the food trick.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So I'm kind of curious. I've been kicking around this sort of no plan B.
Have you?
Idea. I mean, I'm sort of beyond.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to say I've made it, but I'm not desperate anymore.
You're not.
I'm not. I mean, I still think
you have an office.
On
campus.
I haven't moved. I'm still in the office I moved into on day one here, mostly because I decorated it, and then
no one's taken this.
I don't want to move again.
And the bamboo has just gotten used to being in the continental United States.
Yeah, it's true. I just don't want to pack up, and so I don't have a fancy view or anything. I think I'm still motivated. I'm still hungry. I mean, it is Tuesday night during break, and I'm recording a podcast.
Yeah, and you have an international flight tomorrow. Right. But other than that, and you just got back from another intercontinental flight today. So
so I don't think that's too much of a problem. But I think this idea of not having a plan B. I mean, I hear this sometimes. Or you had a plan B as a registered nurse.
Yes.
And you're looking to set it aside.
Well, I haven't worked as a nurse in 2 years.
Okay.
And I have set it aside to a degree, but yet there's something in me that's a little, I'm scared. I am scared to let that nursing license lapse, because it's,
But that's the idea, is to help push through the follow through.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Nancy, this was a lot of fun. I knew it would be.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah. I've enjoyed it. And let's not do it again too often.
Okay. Don't worry. Cheers.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit petermcgraw.org for more information about our guest, show notes, and social media links. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with others. Join Dr. Peter McGraw next week for another fun, fascinating conversation on I'm Not Joking. Yo.